So in this second part on how to use the Raspberry Pi, I'm going to show you another way to control it and create your own projects. So in our last episode, you've seen how to control the Raspberry Pi by connecting it to a monitor and a keyboard and mouse. Today, we're going to control it remotely using a protocol which is called SSH, that stands for Secure Shell. It's a way that allows you to control the Raspberry Pi from your computer over the network. And let's dive right into it. So in today's episode, you will only need the Raspberry Pi and the power supply to power it up. Of course, you're going to need the SD card to install the operating system. And you don't need to attach a keyboard or a mouse. We're going to control it remotely. And to do that, first you have to install the operating system using the Raspberry Pi imager. We've seen that under this tutorial, which is the first tutorial. Once you install the Raspberry Pi imager, you're going to choose the Raspberry Pi model. For me, it's a Raspberry Pi 5. It's the Pi 4. But if you have the Pi 5, make sure to select it from the first option. Then you're going to choose the operating system. We're going to use the Raspberry Pi OS 64-bit. After that, you're going to select the SD card. But the most important part is once you hit next, you have to change some settings. You have to go to this option, Modifier Réglage, because it's in French. For example, under General, we have to set the host name. For me, I have used the name Raspberry Pi. Also, you have to set a name for the user and a password that we're going to use to access the Pi from this computer. You only have to remember the password and the name, as well as the host name. And because we're going to control the Pi over the network, you have to set the SID of the router and the password. And under services, you have to enable the SSH option. If you don't do that, you won't be able to access the Pi and control it. Make sure to check this option. And then you can hit save. And if you want more details about these steps, make sure to watch the whole video. Once you set all of the options, we can insert the SD card at the back of the Raspberry Pi, like this. And then we can power it up. If you have the Pi 5, you have the option to power it up using a switch. For me, I'm using the switch of the power supply. I can turn it on like this. And the Pi is going to be connected to the network using the password that we have set from the Raspberry Pi imager. And we're going to open up the command prompt by searching for cmd. And here we're going to write one command that allows us to access the Pi over the network using the SSH protocol. And the command is like this. We write SSH, then space. First, we have to put the name that we have set from the Raspberry Pi imager. For me, I have used the name Shaker. Then @ and the host name. I have set it to the default option, which is Raspberry Pi. You could also use the IP address, but you have to get it from the router settings. Then we're going to hit enter. Here we have to use the password. For me, I'm going to write it. Then I'm going to hit enter. And there you go. Now we are under the Raspberry Pi. We're going to use the commands for now. But later on, I'm going to show you how to use VNC Viewer that allows you to access the operating system using a graphical interface. We can create a folder. We can access all of the files and the applications. But first, let's check out some of the commands that we can use. Now we are controlling the Raspberry Pi from here. The first command is ls, which lists all of the folders and the files under the current directory. For example, we have the desktop, documents, we have pictures. The second command is pwd, that shows you the current working directory. So for now, we are under /home/shaker. If we want to go under the desktop of the Pi, we can use the cd command, which stands for changing directory. And we're going to write the name of the folder that we want to go to. For example, we're going to go under the desktop. You could also hit the tab key to autocomplete the name and hit enter. Now we are under /desktop. For example, we can create a new file or a new folder. So to create a file, we have the command touch. Then we put the name of the file. For example, I'm gonna write test.txt. To make a directory, we have mkdir, which stands for making directory. And let's create a folder and call it my folder. We could also use ls. And as you can see, we have a folder that is called my folder and a test file. I can use the clear command to clear all of the previous commands and write again so that you can see on top. So now I want to make sure that I'm connecting to the Raspberry Pi, and we have already created the file test and the folder my folder. We can get access to the interface of the desktop using an app that we can install on Windows or Mac OS. And this app is called VNC Viewer. You have to download it. It's free. Then I'm gonna double click on it. We can select the language, English. Okay. Next. Accept, next, and hit install. And there you go. Now we have completed installing the VNC Viewer. The Pi is connected to the network that is called network. And the router assigns an IP address that we need to get so that we can access the interface of the Pi using VNC Viewer. To get the IP address of the Pi, you could go to the router settings, or we can write a command which is called sudo if config, then hit enter. Here we have the Ethernet settings, but we are connecting the Pi using Wi-Fi. That's why I'm going to go under WLAN. And the IP address is this number. It's not going to be the same for you. You have to copy this IP address that we're going to use under the app VNC Viewer. So make sure to save it somewhere under your desktop. But I'm using Ctrl+C to copy it. Now we have to enable the VNC Viewer because by default it's not enabled from the Pi, using a command which is called sudo, then raspi-config. If you hit enter, you're going to see this interface that allows you to change the operating system settings. For example, we can open up the system options and change it, display option, and so on. For now, I'm going to go under interface options. Here we can enable SSH. We've already done that from the Raspberry Pi imager. But in this case, we are going to go under VNC. And we need to enable the VNC server. Are you sure you want to enable it? Yes. Then we can hit OK. And I'm going to use the right arrow to go under finish. And once you enable VNC from the Pi configuration, we can open up the VNC Viewer from our computer. For the first time, you have to log in using an account, and it's free. Then we can type in the IP address that I have copied. For me, it is this IP address. And if you hit enter, we will be able to access the Pi using a graphical user interface. For example, we have the folder that we have created. It is called my folder. We have the test.txt file. We can open up some applications. So now I'm going to put it on my left side and open up the terminal from the right side so that we can check that the terminal is actually controlling the Pi. For example, I'm going to remove the folder, my folder, or let's remove the test file. For now, we are under the desktop. That's the working directory. To remove a file, we have the command rm for remove. Then the name of the file, which is test.txt. And yeah, it is deleted from the desktop. Now we can go under the folder by using cd, my folder. As I said, we have the tab key to autocomplete the name. Now we are under the folder, my folder, and it's empty. Let's create a Python file. We can use touch, and let's call it test.py, not .txt. And there you go. And before I finish this video, I'm going to show you how to edit the file. For example, we can write some Python code using the commands. and the command is called nano. Then the name of the file, which is test.py. For example, I'm going to use the print command to print something like hello, my name is Shaker. We can use Ctrl X to exit, but it's going to ask us to save the file. I'm going to use yes, Y for yes, and leave the same name, test.py, and hit enter. And you see the command print hello, my name is Shaker. Now to execute it, we can use the Thony IDE, or we can write the command from here. And the command is Python, because Python is installed by default when we have added the operating system. To check for the version, we have Python, then -- version. So the version is 3.13.5. We'll write Python, and the name, which is test.py. And yeah, we have the output of the command. It's printing hello, my name is Shaker. We could also access Python and write some code by writing the name Python. To exit from this Python command line, we have exit, and now we are under the py. So to get back to the desktop, we can use cd to change directory. And if you write ... you're gonna get back one step. And now we are under the desktop. Let's delete this folder. To delete the folder, we have the command rm for remove, but this time we have to add -r because the folder contains some files. If we want to remove it and all of the files under it, we have to add -r. Then the name, my folder, and there you go, it is gone. It's gone.
But just 3 shots from kitchen gun, and it sparkles like new.
So before I finish this video, I'm gonna use sudo reboot to reboot the Pi. And that's gonna exit. If you have any question or comment, make sure to write it under the comment section down below. Also, make sure to hit the subscribe button. That helps me a lot to create these videos and learn more about the Pi project. And I will see you in the next one.